All right, we're back with another episode of the I-64 Sports Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Cakes Batter, the premier bakery in the Hampton Roads area. You can find them on Instagram at Batter Sweets. All right, so we're joined today by a good friend of mine, real good, longtime friend of mine. He's a great guy, gives a lot of great advice, and definitely speaks from the parents' perspective, Mr. Michael Scott. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hey, it's been a while, man. I've always wanted to kind of sit down and have this conversation with you. We talked in the past, over the phone, and I appeared on your show, of course, and I'm just happy to have you here, and especially at this time. This is the time that recruiting is starting to get hot and heavy, and the kids that haven't signed yet, they're getting antsy. So it's good for you to come up here on the show and trying to give your perspective from the parents' point of view.
Well, like you said, we've been talking for a number of years, and it's always been a great thing, a great conversation.
Yeah.
And, and the thing that I've gotten out of our conversation, we may agree, but we agree it's okay to disagree.
Right, absolutely.
It's a mutual thing. It's
right.
like, okay, and then I have to realize, okay, I ain't gonna tell my age, but I'm a little seasoned,
right.
So I may come from an old school perspective.
Right.
But then when you hit me with this new stuff, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to think about that a little bit.
We're traveling down the same road, but the lanes, lanes a little different.
Yeah,
but we're traveling down the same road.
You way over there in the left. I'm on the right hand lane. I'm in the lane closer to the right hand shoulder where there ain't no passing going on.
Right.
So
and I'm kind of dodging in and out of traffic, huh?
Everybody passed me probably, but definitely. But it's been a great dialogue and great opportunity to have a chance to come here on your show and sit down and talk and just get some things out,
Right, absolutely. And before we go any further, just kind of tell our audience about who you are in case they don't know.
Well, I'm Michael Scott, father of Mike Scott with the Philadelphia 76ers.
All right.
But even more so, I got two other kids, of course, yes, and I'm not going to name them, but they all right. They doing their own thing, and they're all successful in their own rights, and that's the whole thing it's all about.
Right.
But even more so, I put together a program called the Parents Coaching Parents Network.
Okay.
And through this Parents Coaching Parents Network, it was something that was forced upon me.
Okay.
And I say forced upon me because I felt that need.
When exactly did you start the Parents Coaching Parents Network?
Well, I started the Parents Coaching Parents Network back in 2007.
Okay.
And that was exactly the same time Mike was going through the recruiting process.
Oh, okay.
But at that time, it was just more social interaction and a chance to sit down and talk with some other parents that's going through the process, or some parents that are about to go through the process. And I'm sharing what I'm learning, because I found in our school systems, there isn't anybody that can sit and walk you through everything you need to do with your child.
Right.
You got the coaches, you got the athletic director, you got the guidance counselors, you got all these other folks that are there to help your child do what he or she has to do academically in the classroom, do what he or she has to do on the court. They put those two pieces together. But now we're talking about the recruiting aspect.
Okay.
Now we're talking about interacting with maybe some other old school guys.
Okay.
Or grown men, or as I like to put it, used car salesmen that call themselves coaches.
Right.
That, do you really want to put your child and have your child match wits with somebody that's a professional salesman?
Right. Right.
We're talking about 16, 17, 18-year-old student, child, sitting there talking to a 30, 40, maybe 50-year-old, 60-year-old grown man that's been in the sales game, that know how to pull all the right buttons, and push all the right buttons and everything. So that's an unfair advantage.
Right. So when you, like I said, when you got involved in the recruiting with your son, you realized, what actually went into it. Yeah. And that made you want to get out there and teach other parents what was going on.
Exactly. And that's where it all started, 2007.
Who was some of the first schools to reach out to you?
When you say schools, do we mean like high schools?
College. I'm sorry. Who was the first colleges to start recruiting your son?
Well, believe it or not, that's the interesting part too, because the colleges that initially went after him were your, as they would put them now, low mid majors.
Okay.
You had your Bucknell.
Okay.
You had your, well, Temple was in there. They was in play. LaSalle was in play.
What about Norfolk State? Norfolk State, the local schools.
Norfolk State, and I'm going to say this, and I think these coaches need to get this out of their mindset. The coach came to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Scott, I know your son's not going to come over here.
Right.
So I'm not going to even, put out the effort."
Right. So this was the previous coaching staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Previous coaching staff.
Okay.
Previous coaching staff.
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, coach." Okay, coach. I said, but his closing words was, "If you need anything, let me know."
Okay. So it wasn't like it was a lack of interest. It was more so they thought Mike was above their level.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the funny part about it, because if you go back and look, could you imagine Mike and Kyle O'Quinn being there at the same time?
State. Wow. Because that was around the turn of Norfolk State when they beat Missouri.
And they was in the same draft.
Right. Wow.
So, I'm not quite understanding it, but it is what it is. And, some of the other schools was Winthrop and some, what's that, Coastal Carolina.
Okay.
And,
so a lot of mid-major schools.
Yeah.
So when did University of Virginia get into the picture?
Well, UVA came in once he went to Hargrave.
Okay.
And that's a story in itself. And I'll tell that story real quick.
Okay.
Initially, he was signed, sealed, ready to be delivered at Temple.
Okay.
I had gained a high respect for the legendary Coach John Chaney. Coach, we sat down and we talked, and, he called me just to, "Hey, I'm just calling this to check on you. I know Mike's doing great things, so on and so forth." So we started to build that rapport.
Right.
I don't know if that was part of his sales game, but to me, it was working.
Felt genuine.
Yeah. That's real genuine. Cause he told me, "Hey, I don't talk to a whole lot of folks. When I talk to them, I mean what I say, and I say what I mean."
Right.
So he was all ready to go to Temple. Matter of fact, we came off the recruiting visit, and we were driving back. I just went across just crossed over from 495 heading down towards Newcastle. And he said, Dad, I think I want to commit to that school.
Okay.
I said,
so you hadn't even made it home yet from the visit?
"Son, you don't want to go and take some more visits?" Nah, I think I want to commit.
Okay.
I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "All right, well, hey, go ahead and call the coach, let him know."
Right.
So he grabbed the phone and called the coach and let him know right then and there. We wasn't even an hour into the drive, and he was ready to go.
Right.
But what happened, coach ended up having an early retirement.
Okay.
I think he had some family members that were pretty ill, and then his wife took ill on top of that.
Right.
So he took an early retirement. And then I said, well, who's the coaching staff that's coming in? Because I had built a rapport with them. And one thing I want to share with parents is, when your child goes to an institution, you want to make sure that institution is going to have somebody there that's going to continue on with what you have already started.
Okay. So basically a pseudo parent. That's what you want.
Exactly.
Right.
Now you don't have to, take him to the bathroom and change his diaper and stuff, but if I'm instilling some real show enough discipline, trying to develop time management, sense of responsibility, sense of direction, all these things I'm trying to, but then you pull back or you're not even worried about that as long as he's out there to play the game. And, he's missing curfew. He's, not knowing when to shut it down and get his grind on. So,
right.
That ain't the place for him.
Right.
Because you just allow him to run rampant. And as an end result, you're not going to get what you really and truly need.
Right.
So that's one thing that I try to tell parents. Make sure that your child is going to get into a situation where you are able to connect with that coaching staff.
Okay. So you didn't make the connection with the new staff?
Well, no, we didn't. We didn't. Sad to say, we didn't make a connection with the new staff. New staff came down. Coach Fran Dumfries took over.
Okay.
He came down to Deep Creek High School, and we sat and talked in a room, much about the same size as actually it was the coach's office.
Okay.
Deep Creek High School coach's office. We sat down and talked, and I didn't get that same vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing was well, hey, coach, what if you just let him get back in the pool?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was already committed. Already, actually, I think if I can remember right, he had already signed his national letter of intent.
Oh, wow. So he was heading to it. Okay.
Yeah. September, he would have been on board.
He was gone.
August, he was gone.
I got you. Okay.
And I said to the coach, I said, well, hey, won't you let him get back into the pool?
Right.
And then you recruit him.
Okay.
And then from there, see how it goes. Give somebody else a chance. But at the same time, that gives him a chance to build a relationship with you.
Okay.
He see you in the gym watching. He see you out there, giving him a call and all these other things.
Now you have to court him again. You're back courting.
Exactly.
Right.
So he was like, So I said, okay, there got to be a way out of this, because if this guy's not going to act right, I can't see sending him up there because I'm not really feeling him.
Right.
Somehow, through some divine intervention, should I say, through some divine intervention, we went up to talk to the coach at Hargrave.
Okay. Who was the coach at Hargrave at the time?
My boy, Kevin Keats.
Okay, Kevin Keats at NC State now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I went up and talked to old Keats there, because I had met Keats a couple times before and seen him at a couple of different things he had came down here to play in.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up to talk to him, and he was like, Mr. Scott, I don't know if I got a spot, but I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because shortly after he said that, I said, okay, well, keep us informed. If anything comes open, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, the biggest thing is, the tuition up there. If he did come up there, and if I don't have a spot for him, if he just comes up, that's $25,500.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whoa, yeah.
That's college tuition.
I said, 25,
right.
25, whoo. Whew.
Yeah, think about it.
I wasn't ready to share no 25-5 with nobody just that easy. So I said, okay. We gotta do what we gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
Couple days after we got back home, and we still was pondering the thought, he gave me a call and said, hey, Mr. Scott, can Mike go to the Hoop Group's invitation up in Jersey?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, yeah, so what's the dates, Coach? He said, such, and gave me the dates. So I think it was either late June, early July. It was July time frame.
So now we're really pressing. And close to enrollment,
So I said, he said, based upon that, we're going to see what we can do.
Okay.
Well, with the Lord's will and the strong blessings and the desire that he had to get out of that situation and get to Hargrave.
Okay.
My man went out there, showed up and showed out. And what I mean by that was he was MVP of the camp.
All right.
It was about 200 plus guys that was there.
Gotcha.
So he was MVP of the camp. And when I got back, I went up there on a Wednesday night, dropped him off, turned around, came back that Saturday morning because I still had to work. I had to try to figure out this 25-5 if need be.
Right.
So I came back and you had coaches talking to him as he was walking down the sidewalk, and other guys talking to him. Hey, Mike, you had a good game last night. Good game. When's your next game, man? What gym you in? I'm coming over to check you out.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, what you do up here, man? Do you walk around giving out money or something? We can't be doing that.
Right.
But he had got up there and really performed.
Right.
So I had a chance to catch 2 more games that Saturday when I got up there, because I got up there first thing. and that was up in Trenton, New Jersey.
Right. So it's the showcase for parents that are listening, or for people that are listening. We're talking about a hoop group showcase event where you have a lot of guys that either is their last chance to get a scholarship, or it could be underclassmen, 9th through 11th graders are trying to get scholarship. And hoop group is a place that they hold their service that hosts tournaments. So it's a great chance that it seemed like Mike killed it up there.
That he did. He did. So as a result, I got a call from Keats on our way coming back from up there. Hey, Mr. Scott, I need him up here on such and such date. Don't worry about none of that. I just need you to come in and sign some paperwork, Yeah,
worry about that 25-5.
Pay some incidental fees and that was it. That was it.
Right.
So to answer your question, that's what led to Virginia coming on board.
Okay.
Because they was coming down to see some other players that was down there. A young man by the name of Eric. Oh man, what's Eric's last? Eric Wallace.
Okay, Eric Wallace ended up at Eric. No, I heard the name before.
Yeah, Eric Wallace.
Yeah,
Eric Wallace.
I remember,
was there.
but I remember he was the forward, small forward.
Yeah, Eric Wallace was there. Jump out of the gym.
Yep, from North Carolina. Yeah, from North Carolina.
Eric Wallace, Jordan Crawford was there.
Okay, Jordan Crawford.
Jeff Allen that was at
Georgetown.
No, Jeff ended up going to Tech. Remember?
Jeff Allen. I'm thinking Jeff Green. Okay, yeah, Jeff Allen. Okay.
Jeff Allen ended up going to Tech. They were all already there.
Okay.
So he got there with that group, and so you had guys coming in, coaches coming in to see just those guys because Eric was supposed to been going to UVA.
Okay.
And I think Mike stole some of his thunder.
That's all right.
But
that's what we tend to do here. 757.
It was what it was. Eric, I wish you the best. I love you like a strong young man that you are, but it happened that way.
Well, we see things have turned out, so I think UVA made a great decision.
So you had all those, you had a slew of guys that was there, and so when they opened up that day for the coaches to come in, you had NC State there, you had UVA there, you had Miami was there, you had quite a few other folks that came in just to see some of the guys that were there. Tech was there, and matter of fact, Seth Greenberg was there at Tech at the time.
Okay,
and they all came in and they was looking at guys, and Mike popped up out of nowhere because he wasn't one of those guys that was already on the radar.
Right. Even though he had did his thing here, at Deep Creek.
But see, he did his thing at Deep Creek, and we can talk about that here in a minute. But he hadn't played the circuit.
Okay.
Like everybody else had played the circuit. He wasn't one of those guys that you see regularly every summer out there on the circuit.
So he wasn't he didn't play for Boo Williams or anything like that?
He played for Boo, but he played on the 16 under team, and then when he did play on the 17 under team, he played behind Patrick Patterson and Ed Davis.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it is what it is. It was what it was.
Right.
But in the end, he got to UVA. UVA courted him, and they put their bid in. I think they was able to get in because Wake Forest wanted them as well. And I had started to build a relationship with Skip Prosser.
Okay.
And
you like them older coaches, don't you?
Hey. Old school hang out together, man.
I'm like John Shady, Skip Prosser. You like them?
Hey.
And then we finally UVA, was Pete Gillen still the coach then?
No, Dave Lato.
Okay.
Dave Lato was there. But the guy that was doing all the recruiting was Bob Lanier. Rob Lanier. And Rob and I we started to gel a little bit. Rob was a upfront guy, and I said, okay, hey, if he comes up there, then I know you'll keep an eye on him. The funny part about it, Rob was gone before Mike even stepped one foot on campus.
Wow.
Rob ended up going down to Florida with Rick. Who was down there in Florida? Rick Pitino? No, Billy Donovan.
Billy Donovan.
He went down to Florida with Billy.
Right.
And
that was around the Joe Kim Noah era?
That's when Billy was talking about going to the league.
Okay.
So Rob was thinking, okay, I hang around here a couple years with Billy.
Slide on
into that head coaching spot. So I ain't faulting for that.
right.
Do what you got to do.
Right.
So as a result, it worked out. That Mike ended up going up there. Dave later was there.
Okay.
everything else after that is history.
So how different was the recruiting process the second time around? You said the first time around, Mike was getting courted by a lot of mid-majors. Seemed like the second time around, we had the ACC. Because now we're on the radar. Right? So we got the ACC schools coming after us. So how different was the process that time around?
Well, that process was short, sweet, and fast. And the reason why I say that, because that process lasted every bit of about 3, maybe 4 months.
Okay. So he didn't enroll that August.
Yeah, he went to Hargrave that August.
Okay.
He went to Hargrave that August. But by the time he got done at Hargrave, which was in March, he already knew he was going to UVA.
Right.
You know, he had already said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to go ahead and go to UVA."
Right.
I said, "Okay, well, hey, whatever you do, man, I got your back."
Right.
You know, that's one thing for sure. If you don't go where I want you to go, which is Wake Forest, I'm gonna go ahead and back you on the situation.
So what did you love about Wake Forest? I see you try to slide that in there. What did you love about Wake Forest?
Again, that conversation Skip and I had.
Gotcha. Okay. So it seems like it's very important to you as a parent just to have that bond with the coaching staff.
It is, man, because I got to know for sure. And you got younger kids, you know when your child steps into the room, like if you drop your daughter off, your son off, or whoever at daycare, that person is going to look out for your child's best interest.
Right.
That person is going to oversee your child as if he or she, that was their child.
Right.
You know, and I wasn't for no mess. You know, I was a single dad at that time, and Mike and I, we had did that grind together for years.
Oh, you said that you pimping now. You pimping.
No, I ain't putting that out there for that reason. Here we go. But
I set you up.
I'm just saying, so no, we had did the thing, man. So
right.
As a result, I wanted the best for him.
Right.
I wanted the best for him.
Wow. So it's actually kind of surprising because when you talk, as far as him, allow him to make his own decision, because you talked about, the staying away from the car salesman, as you deal with on the college recruiting scale. So it's kind of surprising that you allowed him to choose his own school.
No, I told him this. I said, I'm going to give you my opinion.
Right.
I'm going to give you where I would prefer that you go.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're going to make that decision yourself.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I'm going to back you on that decision that you make.
Okay.
Because I still want you to be successful and know that you have my support in whatever it is you do.
Right.
So I just had to do what I do.
Right.
And how it played out. And even at one point in time where I thought Virginia was going to be a huge bust.
Right.
Because I wasn't really feeling that staff the way I was feeling it, other places.
Okay.
But then I told him, I said, well, what you want to do? Dad, we going to work it out. All right. And it worked itself out. Sad to say, coach was sent home and the new coach came in.
Okay.
And everything after that
still worked out.
Kept on rolling.
Right. Still worked out. So what do you think about the recruiting process now?
The recruiting process.
Because we see a lot, especially with social media, something that wasn't really big, back in 2007, 2008. Now we see a lot of we see a lot of stuff on social media we didn't see at first. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's why I say parents, you have to be a part of the game. Mm-hmm. You have to be involved in the process because of the simple fact that it is so complex now.
There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah. And see, the thing with us as parents, we don't even know what we don't know, but we think we know. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is there's so many different layers to the recruiting process and things that's happening. That's just like this recent scandal with this admissions.
Right. College admission scandal.
Come on.
It's crazy.
I'm going to try not to go into that, but that's been eating at me for a while.
But now. I think the biggest thing with that I saw was that they had been doing it for so long, and it was for sports that the NCAA weren't looking at. They were thinking, okay, we cleaned up basketball, we cleaned up football, but we didn't think about rowing. We didn't think about the non-black athlete sports.
Well, the non-revenue sports.
Right. As they thought they were, right?
The non-revenue sports. But, the person that was getting paid on that end was the coach.
Right.
But think about how many athletes have been pushed out because this kid that don't even play a sport, that's been photoshopped into a picture to say that, hey, he was. Show me some video. Don't show me a picture.
Man,
show
listen,
me some video.
If you're gonna pay $500,000 for your kid to, you can pay that for your child to get trained. You can pay for a lot rather than to fake a mission. So I didn't get it. I don't get it.
My thing with that is exactly saying. I put that same thing out the day that I read that article. I did a little live feed. Just talking about that same thing.
Right.
You could have had your child tutored for the last 6 years.
I mean, I tutor.
If you're going to pay that much money, you could have went and had an individual trainer to make that child an athlete.
Right.
But then you got some little girl come up on the scene talking about, well, I just want to go and get the party aspect. And
man, that's crazy.
Just hang out in the environment of the game. But I really don't like school.
Right.
But guess what happened to her? She ended up losing the contract that she had with a
Sephora, the makeup company.
Yeah, the makeup company.
Right.
That's right.
Right. You always got somebody to answer for. One thing about it.
Hey, that's right.
So well, actually, I already asked you about with your own son, but what do you think is the biggest hindrance from athletes from this area? When we talk about getting recruited to those, those higher level schools like the Dukes, the Kentuckys, North Carolina. What do you think they're missing?
Well, even getting into before we hit that part, oftentimes athletes, and there's a whole lot of them, and I've talked to athletes up and down the East Coast and some even going out towards the West.
Right.
Talk with athletes and talk with parents, just by having the network set up. But everybody first thinks that they're a Division I player. Everybody.
I mean, I have a kid in my inbox right now, 4th grade.
Think that they're Division
Everybody.
Player. And I'm like, okay, let me give you a quick gauge, down and dirty gauge that can tell you where you at, or if you even in that coach's view.
Right.
You look at that team roster. If you're 5'8", 165 pounds, point guard, and you notice everybody on his roster is at least 6'2", 210.
Right.
Take your name off that list.
Basically, if you look like me, you ain't going D1.
Take your name off that list. Not unless you doing some phenomenal stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Because there's not too many guys. Look at Tyler Eulis from Kentucky a couple of years ago. I think he's like the 5'8", 5'8"-ish, and there's not too many guys, short point guards.
But and that's even talking about football.
Right, absolutely.
Most coaches have that prototypical type of player that they're looking for.
Right.
They have that thing in their mind that, okay, my safety's got to look like this. My quarterback got to look like this.
Right.
My lineman got to look like this. My my center got to look like this.
My receiver better be 6'4".
Exactly.
Right.
They have that image in their mind.
Right.
Because I remember at one point in time with the UVA program, a few years back before London.
Okay.
The coach that was up there, what's his name?
Al Groh?
Yeah, exactly. He recruited you based upon having a pro body.
Wow.
He recruited kids based upon having a pro body.
Right. Well, I think Groh also came from a pro program. He came from
and then based upon that, he geared you towards having that opportunity to make that next step. That's why he had so many kids to roll into,
right?
Roll into the NFL,
right? But he didn't win too much.
Yeah. But think about all the money that they made when you had these guys coming into the pros and these guys making donations back to the school.
Right.
Right. So they wasn't really worried.
Balance it out, huh?
Yeah. Well, they really worried about the winning? Oh, they worried about, who going to get the next $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 donation.
So at what point should a parent start worrying about recruiting?
What point should a parent really worry about recruiting? I say parents should get involved at the middle school level.
Okay. So we're talking sixth grade or eighth grade.
Because, well, sixth grade leads to eighth grade.
Okay.
You can't just all of a sudden the child get ready to go to high school. Now all of a sudden now you're interested. No, if the child ain't doing the right thing, if they're not focused in the sixth grade,
right,
by the time you get to the eighth grade, you're gonna have a hard time getting them on track, because if their next step moving into high school, that first semester, that starts the clock. And if you're still trying to work off just that one little small year that you jumped in there on the eighth grade level,
right?
If you hadn't already started something and established something and got the routine and everything else, because looking at this requirement, GPA requirement.
Okay.
Colleges are calling for a 2.3.
At least.
Minimum, bare minimum.
And we're not talking about overall GPA. We're talking core,
exactly,
math, science, English.
Yep, English, math, science, social studies. There you go. That's right. Your core GPA, 2.3. I'm pushing for, and hopefully everybody that's hearing this podcast will jump on board with me, and your group, and your tribe, and everybody else. Let's make the high school 2.3.
Right. And why not?
Let's grandfather it out.
Right.
Let the sixth graders know that's in sixth grade now.
Right.
That by the time you get to ninth grade,
right,
we were going to require a 2.3.
Right.
So that they know, because now they got a little 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in middle school, you got your 2.0, but that's your 2.0 cumulative. That's everything.
Right, everybody has that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so let's make that 2.3.
Okay.
Cumulative.
Right.
And then when you get to high school, 2.3 core. So now you hitting that bare minimum of being eligible.
Okay.
And then you roll on from that. So the only thing you got to do is start building on that.
Right.
So if you do it that way, and that's why I say parents, we have to be involved early on. Mm. We have to be involved early on, because if we're not involved early on, then we try to play catch up at the end. I've seen too many young men, and you've seen it yourself, doing this unsigned senior stuff.
Right. Don't sound like you're a fan of it.
You well, it's not that I'm not a fan of it. It's a simple fact that I wish they would have listened earlier on.
What I always say, if a kid is unsigned as a senior, academics has to be a portion of it. If he's a quality athlete, academics has to be a major piece of that, why he's still unsigned.
Well, that, and also, has he had the right exposure?
Yeah, that too.
Because, okay, football, you're going to have an opportunity somebody going to come out and maybe peek at one or two of your games. Mm-hmm. Or they're going to catch something on Huddle or wherever out there. Basketball, you're spread out so thin.
It's like 93 programs to cover in Hampton
so
Roads alone.
Thin. You said 93 programs just in Hampton Roads
alone.
Let's think statewide. Let's think region-wide. Let's think national-wide. And if you're looking for that one kid, you don't even know that kid exists. And that kid could be in the school 2 states over or two cities over.
Right.
But if you don't know that kid exists because that child hasn't had that right exposure or any exposure, then they missed the opportunity.
Right. And Mike also came in that weird time before there was before there was bloggers, and he came before that time. So when Mike was around, it was basically just the Virginia Pilot, Daily Press.
It was the Pilot.
Another site I'm not going to mention, but there wasn't like it is now where you have basically bloggers and people like me that, go cover, like we do now. So
I can name probably a little handful of groups that was out there.
Right.
That was really writing on kids, and they were only writing on that very small group that they called the top 100.
Right. Top 100 can't.
If you wasn't in that top 100 list, then you got little to no ink.
Isn't it ironic the top 100 campus at UVA now? That's ironic, right?
It's been there for a few years.
Yeah, it's at UVA now. That's ironic, man. But you're right. It's a lot different now. The athletes, they're blessed, and I see it every day on social media. They're complaining about politics, this, politics, that. I'm like, man, a decade. When I was in school, we didn't even have anything other than the Virginia Pilot. So if you didn't get in Virginia Pilot, that was it.
Yep.
You guys are complaining about third team, all whatever. Like that even makes a difference. It doesn't even make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. and kids don't understand it. But
man.
Again, that's why I say we as parents have to be involved in the process.
Right, absolutely.
Because a lot of the things that the marketing, the advertisement, the exposure, making sure your kid's in the right place at the right time, that's stuff that we're going to have to do.
And can do. And actually can do.
Can do.
Right.
Should be doing.
Everybody has an iPhone, smartphone nowadays.
Because at the end of the day, if you realistically look at it, whose dime is spending for your son to go down to Wake Forest to do an all-star camp?
Right.
Whose dime is being spent for your child to do a Nike Elite combine up in Maryland?
Right, any showcase event.
All those showcases and evaluation camps and clinics and stuff like that.
Right.
That's stuff that you need to be involved in.
Right.
But oftentimes, we let someone else do it.
Right. And and I had this conversation on Facebook. And my mouth get me in trouble a lot on social media because I'm the kind of guy I just kind of say I'm knowledgeable on what goes on, so I have no problem speaking on what goes on. And I put this on Facebook the other day. Parents, you have to allow your kids to travel. You have to play something aside from rec ball and playing in these church league tournaments. You have to allow your kids to travel because guess what? They get to 11th grade and you're screaming politics this and politics that. No, you did not invest in your child. So your child is not at the level they should be at because you didn't invest in them. You want to hold it up to their rec league coach and, that's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility as the parent. So, yeah, I got ate up on Facebook the other day, but, like I said, I
think I must have missed that post because
No, you were on it. You were on it.
Okay. No, I say that because I would have chimed in and gave you a big amen on that because... Oh, that's when we was talking about. Yeah, I got you. I remember that because we went back and forth on some. And another.
That's how I got you up here today.
Yeah, exactly. But even with that situation, my son started receiving information literature.
Okay.
And here the words I just said, parents. Information literature.
Right.
He wasn't really and truly being recruited. He was just receiving information literature.
Right.
And information literature is saying, hey, we had a big win. Here's our last article in the paper, so on and so forth.
Right.
We may want to see you, we want to see you in our program or what you think you look like dressed up in this blue and gold or whatever. Okay. Right. You know how many people got that same letter?
Do kids even get letters anymore? Like, do they even get that anymore?
Nah, they probably get something electronic.
Right. I don't even see kids posting letters like anymore.
Yeah, they probably get something electronic.
Right.
But he received quite a bit of that informational literature.
Okay.
After I took him down to Wake Forest to an evaluation clinic.
Okay. What grade? Do you remember what grade this was?
This was in the transition between the 9th and 10th grade.
Okay.
Because, mind you, he didn't play his first varsity game because he never did play JV. He didn't play his first varsity game until the 2 makeup games in his sophomore year.
Okay.
Because, the grades wasn't looking the way I wanted them to look, so don't even talk about that.
I like that.
So he didn't play. He played a makeup game against, the hometown rival, Indian River.
Okay.
And then he played in the Southeastern District playoff game where they went out in the first round against Nasman River. And at that time...
Sound like Marquis Cook days.
The big dog was Marquis Cook.
I was about to say it sound like Marquis Cook
Marquis Cook. The big dog was Marquis Cook.
All right.
And, that's what he was talking about. Dad, that's Marquis Cook. I said, yeah, okay.
He put us out, too.
And your name Mike Scott, so what else is new?
Right. 10 years later.
And it's interesting because... Marquis had 34 that night. I remember the numbers very well.
Right.
He had 27.
Right.
I said, so
you
a sophomore.
Right.
He a senior. He get ready to go on to college.
Right.
So, hey, do you.
Right. Right.
And they lost that game, but he was doing his thing. But he didn't play until then. But he had started receiving information from schools early in his sophomore year because we went to that camp.
Okay.
We went to that evaluation clinic down at Wake Forest because we had went to that one. Then we turned around. We went to one what was it called? It was Prep All Stars or something like that back in the day.
But you're just taking them everywhere.
Yeah.
I went to 5-star.
Went there too.
Went to 5, man, I ain't like that camp.
Out there in Hampton, Sydney.
Man, it was hot as I don't know what. They got you playing on the black top. I'm going back to Norfolk. I ain't doing this.
Went to 5-star. Went to 5-star out there in Hampton, Sydney. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Great.
Matter of fact, Chris Paul was out there helping out at that time. And so he had a chance to see what it was like.
Right.
And I told him, I said, you see what it's like? You keep your grades right. You out there able to do your thing.
Right. Man, I went to 5-star. I was a freshman. You know what my roommate was?
Who was that?
Ramon Sessions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know how bad he beat me? We had to play 1-on-1. Man, I'm 14. Ramon Sessions. I think he was a junior. I think Ramon Sessions was a junior, rising senior. He dogged, man. I'm this little 14-year-old kid, but like you said, that's when you see real competition.
Yeah,
that's when you see real competition.
But the thing was, you were able to get out there and play with him.
Yeah,
he may have dogged you, but you still show that you on the court with him.
Right.
And hey, you keep working, he keep working, and eventually, you never know.
Hey, eventually I'm behind his mic, and he was on.
There you go.
He was in the NBA, so that let me know. But again, some people take it, as a challenge. That also let me know, like, man, I don't even work as hard as these guys, so that's not going to be my future.
Yeah,
I went home from the camp early, But again, I think I'm really an advocate of traveling, trying new things, because we went to the USA tournament 2 years ago, which now kids are going back. Now, they're doing the junior NBA, which we did last year. So I'm always about trying new things and, showcasing our kids, putting them on a bigger stage, because we have a lot of talent in this area, but we just, and like I said, academics is an issue, but it's also, we don't know, like I said, we don't know what we think we know,
Well, during the time that Mike was going through the recruiting process, there was a group of parents that we always looked to see who all was traveling together.
Okay.
Who all was out there on the road with our kids. I turned around and the Trey Hearn, when Mike played with Boo that last year before he went to Hargrave, the Trey Hearns. I don't know if you
Western
remember
Branch.
Them. Yeah.
Leslie.
Yeah.
I remember her from running track.
Yeah.
She was nice.
Her brother John.
Okay.
Her brother John played with Mike.
Okay.
They was always out there.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
Frank Hassell.
Right.
His dad was a big Frank was always out there.
Gotcha.
And we show up and we get together, we sit there in the bleachers, we support our kids. Patrick Patterson's people was out there, Ed Davis people was out there.
Okay.
So we had a chance to get out there and show some support for our kids. But even the ones that was unable to make it, we still let them know what's going on. We kept our eye on their kids, make sure their kids wasn't out there hungry doing this. But that was my thing.
Right.
Ain't no kid gonna be out here on the road, and I'm a grown adult, and I'm gonna let this kid go hungry because he ain't bringing enough money, or he have to eat hot dogs, and everybody else is over here doing pizza.
Right.
Or they going out to get a midnight snack, and he's sitting there trying to get something out of the G-Dunk machine. Nah, we wasn't going to do that. Hey, I'll give you a couple dollars to do what you got to do.
Right.
But it was all about showing that support. And I think that's what helped us as far as our kids getting to where they had to go. Because we was out there, we seen who our kids had to interact with.
Right.
Some coach walked up to him. So I went to find out, okay, who is this guy?
Right.
What's he talking about?
Right.
Where's he from? He's with so and so and so and so. I'm looking him up getting on the computer when I get back to my room.
Right.
He ain't on that coaching staff. Who is he?
Who is he? Right. Who is he? Right.
Nah, man. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you, sir. Nah, he's all right. Let him go ahead.
Right. So you became, I'm not gonna say the agent, but you basically you were your son's first agent.
Well, we have to be.
Right.
I think we have to be as parents. We have to be our child's very first agent. We have to be our child's biggest advocate.
Right. Absolutely. So what do you think? Talk about the Parents Coaching Parents Network. It's been in for about 11 years. It's 11 years now. 12 years. 12 years.
We working 12 strong.
12 years.
12 strong.
Where have you seen your biggest impact on the parents?
Just getting the information out there. But, the surprising part is getting the information out in my own area.
Right.
That's the funny part to me.
It ain't really surprising to me, but yeah, I understand.
And I say that because I've been here. I've offered, put together workshops,
camps.
We did the camp,
right?
But we used to do, and I was very adamant about trying to do at least one during the spring and then one during the fall. And Larry, Larry was coming in to support us. That's a guy. That's a guy
great guy, man.
He
Larry
the one
Obama.
who kept pushing me to say, "Hey, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, do it."
Larry Obama, that's a great guy. Great guy.
But Larry would come in and he would talk about how the media covered kids.
Right.
Then we had somebody from compliance from either Norfolk State or Hampton that would come in and talk about NCAA requirements.
Right.
We had somebody come in and talk about doing visits. We had somebody came in and talked about SATs and ACTs.
Right.
Just little simple things.
Right.
But I wasn't getting the turnout.
Right.
And I didn't know if it was because folks didn't think I knew what I was talking about. But I'm bringing in other folks. Right. I'm not doing all the talking.
I think it's more that people don't pay attention to that piece until it's too late. I think they're not preventive. They're more reactive.
Exactly.
So when it's 11th grade and their kid is struggling for a school and you're thinking about junior college now and you don't want to say, I told you so, but it's, I told you so.
Now I'm getting inbox messages talking about, hey, coach, what you know about such and such and such and such? What should we do with this child? Hold on. I've known you since your child played rec league ball.
Right.
I've been trying to tell you different little things that we needed to do when your child was in middle school. So where we at? I said, okay, I got something for you here. Start with this here. Put on a little link of what he or she is doing.
Right.
And let's go from there.
Right.
But then they don't want to follow up.
Right.
So, that's some of the things that
it's easy to blame the coach, right?
Yeah,
it's much easier to blame the coach.
I've heard that too many times.
Right.
Oh, that high school coach ain't no good. He don't know what he's doing. My son this, my son that. Well, that's not the coach's responsibility.
One, it's not his responsibility.
No.
Academic is definitely not his responsibility. That's your thing as a parent.
That's not even his responsibility to follow up on a letter that you may have sent out.
Right. Right.
That's where you jump in, parent.
Right.
Because if you let's look at it realistically. Basketball, that's a smaller group. But if you're talking about football, help me out here. How many is on a football roster? Just a varsity squad?
It's at least about 50.
Okay,
about 50 kids.
50. Mm-hmm. And if each one of those kids is putting together 20, 25, 30 letters, those of you out there, you do the math.
There's a lot of competition.
But how is the coaches tracking every single one of those letters?
Right.
Helping the child follow up on every single one of those letters.
Right.
Doing follow-up phone calls, to making sure that the coach did get the letter and if the letter needed some additional information or whatever. The coach can't track all that.
Right.
He'll spend most of his time doing that instead of worrying about coaching. Let the coach, and you do the follow-up stuff.
Right.
That's all I'm saying about that piece.
Right. What are your thoughts on social media and student athletes and social media?
The use of social media?
Yes, sir.
Use it, but use it wisely.
Okay.
And I say that because oftentimes, I'll give you a prime example. A guy I recently had a chance to meet, and when I met him, I was like, okay, this guy is funny. Lavar Ball.
Okay. Where'd you meet him?
When Mike was out with the Clippers.
Okay.
Clippers played the Lakers one night, and Lavar was in the what you call.
Okay.
But he was able to use social media to his advantage.
Right. Yeah.
And still using it to his advantage.
Yep.
But he also knew when to pull back. So the use of social media and athletes being able to use social media, if they use it wisely, then it works out for them.
Okay.
It gives them, because when you're doing that transition from high school to college, if the college coach, and this is part of his scheme, if he look and see that you're on social media, you got a clean platform, or you may be a little where they can call it, they can reel you in a little bit.
Yeah.
But you got 100,000 followers, or tens of thousands of followers or whatever. Okay, he equates that to you're able to put butts in these seats in this arena.
Dollar sign.
So you're gonna be somebody we're gonna bring in here.
Right.
Okay. Taking that from the college to the professional level, they have this thing called the Q rating.
Okay.
Where they also look at your platform. Okay. They also look at your popularity. And are you the guy that can put butts in seats?
So do you think that's how Lonzo ended up number 2 pick with LA? A lot of Lavar?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's nothing to me, nothing against the kid and nothing against the dad. But to me, it's nothing that says that he is the second best kid that was in that draft.
Right, right. And I actually say that this year about a kid like RJ Barrett from Duke. I think at a certain point, I don't know if people have money invested into these certain schools or kids, but why are we continuing to push kids that we can look? Certain kids don't pass the eyeball test. RJ Barrett doesn't pass the eyeball test for me. And I feel like when you talk about a Q rating, I feel like a lot of times that's how people are looking at Zion. Is like, Zion's a great player, don't get me wrong. But it's more, if he goes to New York, we know the Knicks, that market is, oh man, it's going to explode. And I think his Q rate, I don't know what it is, man, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty high.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It is. It is. And it's a marketing tool.
Right.
How can I market, like you've heard it, I've heard it, I believe it, you probably believe it too. College sports is a business.
Absolutely. Even high school sports
exactly.
is a business.
All right, let's back it up to the reality.
Right.
High school sports is a business. College sports is a business.
Right.
They're out there looking at who's the next child that's going to be able to be marketed to the point of we're able to make the most revenue from this child.
Who's the next KD, the next LeBron? That's what they're looking for.
Exactly.
Right.
And they're waiting to see, and in my opinion, and I'm going to say it's my opinion, they're waiting to see if LeBron is going to fall out of the good graces of society.
Right.
If he falls, they will quickly find the next replacement to step in there and say that this guy is our guy and we're going to put all the backing behind him.
Zion.
Zion.
That's what they're doing with Zion.
Or watch what I say now, because he's a little bit better on. He has a not a higher ceiling, but he has a higher platform right now in Zion.
Who's that?
Curry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Steph, definitely. And you actually saw that a few years ago when Curry first. I think that was the Warriors' first or maybe second championship, and it was like, has he overtaken LeBron?
Yep.
Well, how do you take a guy that's won 3 rings before you won your first, or whatever? He's won multiple before you even won your first.
Yeah.
And actually, when I interview a lot of players, LeBron is not their favorite player.
No.
Nah, it's more Steph is a lot of kids' favorite player.
Well, Steph is a lot of kids. Again, my opinion. Steph is a lot of kids' favorite player based upon they can see themselves in Steph.
It's attainable to be 6'3", 190.
Exactly.
There ain't too many people going to be 6'9", 280.
Exactly.
40
exactly.
plus vert. Ain't too many people with that.
I'm watching kids in the gym all the time, jacking it up from as soon as they come in the door, throwing the ball towards the rim, just because that's what he does.
That's what he does.
And he has changed the game based upon just that part alone, that part of his game alone.
Right. You think good or bad? Good or bad?
The game has to evolve.
Absolutely.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Now, where does it go from there? Do they raise the rim? What do they do? But something has to happen from there. Is there a 4-point shot? Is there a 5-point shot?
Rock and drop.
Because I remember when World Be Free. I'm going to date myself a little bit.
Boston Celtics. Come on, man. I know a little something.
World B used to jack it up from way out there.
Right.
And that was still just a two-pointer.
Two-pointer. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But, World B would have closed out a lot of games based upon them 2-pointers he was throwing up.
So when you hear this stuff about new players being better than the older generation, what you think about
that? As again, the game has to evolve. So you have to have that transition.
Right.
If the game stayed the way it was 30, 40, 50 years or when I was younger, then the game would be boring right now.
Right.
Because guys came down, they either fell into the zone or they tried to do a little man-to-man. They ran a couple sets. You had nobody that stood out. You had nobody that really did a takeover when that time came.
Right.
You had one guy that was throwing the ball up, but again, he was playing within the system.
Right.
And you could see it in their games that they were playing within the system.
Right.
It wasn't until the great big house games came along where they started playing with a little bit more aggression and a little bit out of the system.
Winston-Salem State?
Yeah.
Okay. And what year was that? I mean, what era was that?
Oh, man, I can't remember old Big House. He was, I want to say he was in play, what was that? Late 70s.
Okay.
Mid 70s.
Because I think I remember him coaching when I was at St. Paul's, and that was back in 2006. I think 2005, 2006. Was he still coaching?
I don't know. But I remember watching some video on a couple of his games.
Right.
It could have been that time frame or earlier.
Okay.
That had to be earlier because what's called played for him, I believe. Stephen A. played.
Stephen A. Worse hairline than mine.
Stephen A. played for him.
Yeah. He would average about 2 minutes a game.
Yeah.
I read his bio.
But yeah, so to say that players, what's better,
right?
The game has to evolve,
right? I think it's better athletes for sure. I think it's better athletes for sure. I don't really think you can question that.
And they're having more, kids are taking the game to another level because you didn't have this conditioning and physical training that you had back then. You just had a few guys that may have hit the gym or do some type of elite workout or whatever. But now, if you're going to be in the game, if you're going to be a part of the game, you got to get your grind.
I mean, I know fifth graders right now that do physical training. I'm not saying that that's the best thing to do, but they're taking the game more serious at an earlier age. And like I said, that's the reason why when people jump them on a Facebook post, I'm like, no, listen, man, I'm around these kids, every weekend. I have kids. I know kids that play 6 games a weekend. Between rec ball, AAU, they might play in a church league. They're always in the gym, So, as a parent, we always, we can be the best parents, but kids are kids. My daughter, she's a great kid, but she got in a fight this year. She got in trouble, so I had to teach her how to deal with that. How do you teach your kids how to deal with adversity?
Dealing with adversity. Well, first of all, I'll say to them, and I've said this not only to my kids, but to adults as well.
Right.
What is adversity?
Okay.
Oftentimes we look at adversity as being something negative.
Right.
But I've learned years ago that you take that same situation and turn it into an opportunity for a positive change.
Right.
I learned that from the late, great Dr. Miles Monroe.
Okay.
He did a huge leadership series.
Okay.
And he talks about, he said, I don't have no problems. Everything I deal with is opportunity. And so I started looking at things that way. Okay, this didn't go right. What did we learn from it? Now, if you figured out what you learned from it, now you know if it comes back around again, how to deal with it.
Right.
So, don't worry about that adversity. You're going to win, you're going to lose, but what did you learn from it?
Right.
Every game out there, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But was there some learning done in the process?
Right. When you look back at what your son, where he's come to now and where he's been, could you imagine this?
No, actually, I can't. I can't say, I know my son, he'll go be in the league. No.
Right.
I don't know where that joke was going to be. That's what I say.
Right.
But, I always hoped and wished the best for him. And I always told him, you can do whatever you want to do. You put the work in, you can do whatever you want to do. You can get to wherever you want to get to. You can be whatever you want to be.
Right. But when was the NBA like a real possibility?
I don't even know.
Senior year, they started calling around senior year.
I think it became a possibility, and I knew that the potential was there.
Mm-hmm.
He had a chance. He had actually attended the NBA Top 100 camp.
Okay.
And it was at VCU at the time.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, the folks that was there at that camp, everybody had already slated them.
Yeah, because I mean, it's some big time kids that those camps.
To be the guys.
Right.
You know, you had Katie was there. You had Beasley was there.
Right.
You had
Ty Lawson had to be there.
Ty Lawson was there. Edgar Sosa was there.
Wow. You had them all.
OJ was there.
Okay.
The Lopez brothers was there.
Wow.
Who else was there?
Probably Blake Griffin.
That is. Nah, you know what? I didn't see Blake.
You didn't see Blake?
That is Young was there. Darrell Arthur was there.
All the one and done. Yeah, all the one and done.
Yeah. Right. So those guys was there, and at that time I was like, okay, you're able to get out there and play with them. Now you don't look as polished and as smooth as them, but you're holding your own.
Right.
You know, he played on the team with Edgar Sosa, and they played in the semifinals against Ty Lawson, who ended up going to the finals, and they played.
Got you.
But you know, he held his own.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, well, you're able to play with them guys, man. You may have a chance to do something. Keep working hard.
Right.
You know, so, you know, guys that he ran up against and he was able to play with them. He felt pretty good, felt pretty comfortable. That little opportunity to do the hoop groups and showed up big time on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, played against, what's my guy's name? Oh man, he played with Cleveland a few years ago. Big fella out of, I want to say he's out of South Carolina because when we was down at University of South
Kendrick
Carolina.
Perkins?
Oh man, I could see him.
Al Jefferson was before him, I believe.
No. But anyway, he played against him. Mm-hmm. And they were a matchup in an all-star game at the end of the camp.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, hey, show up for your life, son.
Right.
This is what you want to do. You go ahead and do it.
Right.
But you know, he had a good time, and of course, the hometown favorite guy was, you know, he was getting all the, you know, hey, you know,
right.
Don't even worry about that, man.
Right.
You know, you went out there and you did your thing. He scored, you scored, he scored, you scored, whatever.
So was he the only guy from this area at the top 100 camp?
No. The time that he went, Vernon was there.
Okay.
Stephon was there. Scotty Reynolds was there. Boo had like 8 kids that was at that
man,
event.
I think it was the last.
Grievous Vasquez.
Hey, Stephon Welsh, every time I hear his name, I get mad. He killed us. Hey man, those guys could go, man. That was a great group right there. That was probably our first. When you talk about ACC, SEC kid, that was probably that first group that really took off big time.
Yeah,
that group right there.
Yeah, and but it was interesting because let me see, Stephon ended up going where? Arkansas.
Yep.
And Calvin ended up going to William and Mary. So
he went to William and Mary, then UVA. Because he went to UVA too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Yeah, I think that had something to do with I think Boo had something to do with that.
Okay, gotcha.
I believe so.
Gotcha.
Because William and Mary didn't work out quite, and then he was able to get into UVA.
Okay.
And then following UVA, Mike came in, and then after Mike, John Tell came in.
Gotcha. Yep. From what was it, Bethel?
Yep. And that was weird because, you know, again, John Tell was being listed as 5'11". I think John Tell maybe 5'8", 5'9". Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, I think John Tell was listed as 6'1".
Woo!
But he may have been.
Big difference.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. So we did, 4 years UVA? The 4 years UVA?
Mike did actually 5 years.
5 years UVA?
His senior year.
Right.
his ankle flared back up on him again. He had a high ankle sprain his freshman year.
Okay.
Recovered from that, flared back up again in his fourth year there.
Okay.
Played about 10 games in that year. Mm-hmm. And then it got to the point where he couldn't do nothing on it. So they took him out of play, checked with the NCAA. NCAA say, hey, well, he only played 10 games. That wasn't, that's right at the cut.
I was like, he had to be close.
One third of the season. If you play more than 1/3 of the season, then that's your year.
Woo, thank God for 6 games in the season.
Yeah, so
high school, he would have been done.
So he was able to come back the next year, back the next year. And at the time when he went out, he was averaging like 18 and 12.
Yeah, he was killing it.
You know, so came back and still finished out with like 15 and 10.
Gotcha.
So it worked out for him.
So what was that? Like I said, going into the draft process though, like was it the same as the recruiting process or was it a little bit different?
The draft process was quite interesting. You had you had the same type of mentality because you had guys calling in trying to represent them.
Okay.
You know, so you had your agents trying to pick up a new client. And so we went through and we had a chance to actually sit down and interview quite a few of the guys. And we did, he was still up at UVA working out and doing whatever. So
how many agents did you bring in?
I think we ended up with 5.
Okay. So pretty much just like college recruiting.
Ended up with 5. Well, we could have kept going, but he was like, nah, Dad, I don't want to do this.
So what's that process like? Is it, you know?
Well, again, what I look for and what he looked for is 2 different things. Okay. But at the end of the day, like I tell him, it's going to be your decision because this guy is going to be working for you. So you're going to have to deal with him.
Right.
You know, I was looking for someone that was a little bit more connected to corporate America, someone that was a little bit more, had a huger network.
So you're looking for deals outside of just sports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Exactly. Because I know at the end of the day, when the ball stops bouncing, now what?
Right. You were ahead of the game.
So if you're looking at someone that just talks sports, then what else can this person put in place for your athlete to make sure that he or she, you know, can do something outside that?
Okay.
You know, because you never know. That next game or that next day or whatever, boom, you could have had a freak accident, and now what?
Well, you lost your career, you lost your agent because your agent gone.
Exactly. Right. So, you know, that was very important to me to make sure that and so all my questions when he was looking for an agent, any question that he, you know, said, hey, Dago, what you got? I threw in some questions that I was interested in hearing.
Right.
You know, what can you bring to the table?
Right.
Yeah.
So, what kind of advice do you give him dealing with the business of the NBA? Because, you know, Mike has been traded a few times, been moved a couple of times. What kind of advice you give him?
Well, at this point, he runs his own show. That part, I just tell him, hey, wherever you go make the best of it.
Okay. Was it tough initially that first trade or the first time it happened?
Well, if you recall the first situation, coming out of Atlanta and initially was going slated to go down to Phoenix.
Okay.
I think that had to do something with that situation that was on his back.
Okay.
Because he had been at Atlanta for 5 years.
Right. Made his home
and right. Folks was comfortable with him and the fan base was high on him, so on and so forth. But I think they were just trying to reshuffle the cards. Mm-hmm. Because I noticed shortly after he left, they started doing a whole lot of other
I think Kent left that around that same Kent baseball.
No, Kent's still there.
No, but he went to the Lakers for a year, didn't he?
No, Kent went to the Lakers before that.
Okay.
Kent started at Golden State.
Okay, gotcha.
Then the Lakers, and then
Okay, got you.
But yeah, they was trying to do some different things. The coach that had came in there, he was coming in under Popovich's tutelage.
Okay.
So as a result, he was trying to create a East Coast Spurs. That's what it looked like to me.
You better be an East Coast Popovich.
He was bringing in some foreign players. And,
right.
You know, then they had that 60-year win, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe he got something here.
They got swept by the Cavs.
But then you turn around and you got traded. So I said, okay, wherever you go, son, we're gonna make the best out of that situation. So, you know, from there to Phoenix, and then Phoenix saying, no, we're gonna waive you. Go ahead. We're gonna give you your money. You go ahead and get yourself ready. And like, okay. And actually, I think he was really felt that pressure because he didn't know what was happening and how it was going to unfold for him.
It was like back to senior year.
Yeah. Huh? So then turn around and the Wizards picked him up. And, you know, so he got in there, he showed up and showed out and had a good season there. And then actually was thinking that he was going to stay there.
Right.
And next thing you know, the Wizards was like, and that, a lot of that had to do with they were fishing for a big man.
Yep.
They were fishing for Dwight, and they knew that they were going to have to give Dwight his money. And as a result, you know, Mike was going to be the guy that was going to fall short.
But I told somebody at the time that was going to be a bad move for him.
You know, so turn around and he said Doc called him up and, you know, and then the GM called him up and said, hey, we need you to come on out. Come on out. Let's talk. Let's see what we can do for you.
Right.
And he was waiting. He was trying to hold off because he really wanted to go back to DC. And I guess they didn't act or move fast enough, so he had to make the decision he had to make. Because
I imagine the decisions are a little different when you you have a child. You have a child to take care. You don't want to be going coast to coast. And
well, you know, the strange part was, and this is what freaked me out, was the trade from the Clippers to the 76ers.
Right.
Because they had played in Charlotte that night.
Okay.
And after the game, he was told that he needed to be in Philly tomorrow.
That's it. That's how it goes.
That's how it go. That's how it go.
That's rough.
He had his bag that he had traveled, you know, because they had a couple away games. They was on the road, and he had that bag, and that bag took him to Philly.
So do you even get a call, anything from the coach, or you just get a team representative like, you just go to Philly, you've been traded?
His agent gets the call, and then you know, they get him in and let him know, and you're gone.
That's weird. That gotta feel bad, man.
I talked to Tobias Harris' dad.
Okay.
And he said he got the call like 2:00 that morning. Oh, by the way, Tobias has been traded to Philly because he's Tobias's agent.
Right.
And said Tobias was traded to Philly. He said when he got a call 2:00 in the morning, and he knew it was from, you know, the Clippers because he, you know, knew who phone was. He thought something had happened to Tobias.
Right.
He thought, you know, airplane, you know, whatever. He was like, okay, hey, what's going on? And they said, hey, nah, he's been traded to Philly.
Wow.
And like, wow.
So how do those guys, I don't know if you can speak for Tobias, but how does Mike feel about being in Philly now?
He's liking it. He's liking it. He's getting settled in, you know, he's getting a feel for. The biggest thing, like I tell him, just stay employed, son. You know, no matter where you at, this is what this is really all about. Right. Staying employed. Right. You know, making sure you still got somebody that's going to stroke that check for you, you know, at least once a month, every 2 weeks or whatever it is, you're going to get your payment.
Right.
You know, so wherever you end up, I don't care if you end up in Milwaukee or somewhere, if you end up in Memphis somewhere or whatever, Utah, wherever, hey, if the check is the check.
Right. That's right.
you know, at the end of the day, get your check, because at some point in time, that's going to stop. Right.
So, how often you get a chance to travel and check out the games?
I've been up there several times, you know, since it's only a few hours up the road. Now. Yeah, 4 or 5 hours up the road. So I've been up there a few times and had a chance to check on them, and, you know, just to go up, just to check and just to put an eye on them. That's my whole thing. I got to put an eye on my child every now and then just to make sure that, okay.
That's their baby boy, huh?
Yeah. And he looked like he ain't getting enough sleep. He got bags underneath his eyes, or he looking a little sluggish, or he got a little raspiness in the voice or something, or whatever. So,
did you eat, son?
Yeah. But I know that's one thing he gonna do. He gonna get something to eat.
He gonna get something to eat.
And he gonna get some sleep.
Got you.
May play that game a little bit too much, but he gonna get something to eat and get some sleep.
So when you go into these games, are you father mode, or you fan? Or try hard not to be a fan of the. I mean, and when I say that, I mean of like the other players, or like you said, you met Lavar. Was it like, oh my God, that's Lavar Ball?
No.
There ain't nothing like that.
No. He just another dad in the arena.
Yeah.
Don't think.
But what about the players like Joel Embiid and?
He just another kid I done seen play. That's
right.
And that's the same thing I told Mike early on, because Mike was a LeBron fan.
Right.
And then when he made it, I said, okay, all that got to go out the window, man. It has to go out the window, because you can't stand on the court now and take pictures of this guy taking a shot over you, because you're going to be sitting on the bench and we're going to be sitting next to each other watching the game.
You're right.
So his first game, and he played against him, I think he got caught looking one time, and he snapped out of that real quick. And after that, it was on. It was on.
I mean, but it's hard though, because like I grew up, I reading Larry Rubama. So, when I got a chance to work with Larry with the pilot, I was still a fan. I'm still a fan. I still read his stuff to this day. But, I had to realize like we're competition. I mean, at the end of the day, we are a competition. We're fishing for the same story. So it was one time we were at the gym together and we were hooping. It was like 7:00 in the morning. We used to hoop on Fridays together. Man, it was a story that we had talked about, but I didn't know he was working on it. So when I got out of the gym, maybe a couple hours later, I read it was online. I was so pissed. But that's not realized. Like, look, we ain't friends, man. Like, he might talk to me about what he's gonna do, but I'm not gonna know when it's coming out. So.
But just like you said, you said that your roommate at one point in time was Sessions, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
dog me.
So if you seen him and he stepped into your environment right now, you're like, okay, hey, I control this mic here. Yeah, exactly. This is my pen and paper, my ink.
Right.
Here's how this goes down, how this interview gonna go.
Right.
You ain't gonna bow down to the man.
Right.
And like I try to tell kids all the time, you're only starstruck because you haven't been exposed to it. Now, the young man that grew up next door to Draymond Green, he probably look at Draymond, hey, Dre, how you doing? Whatever. Right. But you take another kid when Draymond goes into the arena, and I use Dre as an example because folks don't know a whole lot of stuff about Draymond, but he's a real humble guy, but he get that bad boy image.
Right.
But anyway, a little kid in the arena will look at him, oh, that's Draymond. And they in awe. And I'm looking at pictures where I just looked at him this morning, where I flipping through some of the pictures when Mike was at the top 100. I'm looking, I see KD in the picture. I see Beasley. Matter of fact, I was standing next to Michael Beasley's mom because we were standing there taking pictures when they were doing Feed the Hungry or something up there in Richmond.
Okay.
I seen Edgar Sosa in the picture. I seen Thaddeus Young because Mike and Thaddeus was carrying some stuff to a lady's car. Thaddeus had a boot on his leg. I remember this kid when he was in high school.
Wow.
So why am I going to be in awe now that he doing the same thing my son doing?
Right.
He may have got there a little sooner, but he's still doing the same thing.
Right.
So to me, they just playing the game. So when I see him, you may be like, okay, well, I ain't got to talk to you. Hold on, son. I remember you win.
All these millions.
Don't do that. Right. I remember you win.
Right.
Right. And that's the way that goes. I can't get starstruck, because at the end of the day, if we are running down the street at the same time, the cops gonna look at us the same way. They ain't gonna say, "Oh, that's a millionaire. Don't shoot him. Let's go ahead and take this one here." Might look at you
a little bit longer than
exactly.
Me.
Oh well, he's a little older. He may be doing something else. Well, that one right there, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So what is the conversation with your son like? Just father to father.
Father to father is you always got to be there for your child. At the end of the day, they didn't ask to come here, and you got to be there to support them.
Right.
I watch him now from time to time, him interacting with his kids. I'm like, okay, And then I start to understand why grandparents are always, they always the nice ones in the group. The grandbabies can get away with anything around grandparents,
right?
Because I've instilled something in him that now he's trying to instill in his son,
right?
And I'm like, he'll be all right. And he'll be like, nah, Dad, nah,
right?
We can't let him get away with it. He done did this and this and this. I'm like, okay, all right, fine, no problem. You got it. You got it, big dog.
What do you think is the biggest thing like somebody like me could do to help the kids in the area?
Exactly what you're doing now. Okay. Get the information out there.
Okay.
Every time I turn around, you're in the gym somewhere. You writing something, you posting something, you sharing information, and that's the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Getting the information out to the kids is such a valuable tool.
Right.
But we have to make it so that it's accessible to them just that easy. Mm-hmm. Because in today's society, instant gratification is the thing.
Right.
They want it now. Right now, here, now.
And they want a video. They don't want to read it.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't want to have to read nothing. Right. They want to be able to just sit and look at the video and somebody talk to them, give them some information, and they roll from there. Right. So continue doing what you're doing. And, folks have your respect. Folks are looking for you to make sure that you putting out every word on them to make sure that they continue to shine, so on and so forth. But hey, at the end of the day, as long as you can stay true to yourself, be honest about what you're doing, it's going to work out.
And make no mistake, guys, this is somebody that's been here since day one, since my very first camp, my very first event. Mr. Scott has always been a supporter, hopped in my inbox when need be, like, look, but like you said, we've always pretty much traveled down the same road. Just we might take, I might be in the left lane sometimes. He might be in the right lane all the time. He's in the right lane all the time, but we're usually on the same path, and I always appreciate the advice. Always.
But it's good. It's good because I understand that there is a bridge that needs to connect the two pieces,
right?
And I understand that you come from your perspective and you see things in a different light. I see things from a different light, but we have to be able to meet in the middle because at the end of the day, when we start to share that information, when we start to disseminate information to, the masses out here, if you're telling them something from this perspective, if I'm trying to share something with them from this perspective, they're going to be totally confused.
Right.
But because they're not realizing that we're on the same road, we just driving a different car.
That's it.
That's what it really boiled down to. Right. We're on the same exact road. We just driving in different cars. But once they start to realize that and understand that, we're out here trying to help them, and I use a model with the Parents Network. Help us help you.
Right. Yep.
Because that's what it's all about.
Right.
What can I do to make it easier for your process? And you're doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. You're out there making sure that kids get the right information. You're out there taking kids. I check you and Johnson and who else rode with y'all when y'all went out to Indiana?
Coach L from Lake Teller.
Yeah. Or Yogi.
Yeah. I ain't know if you call him Yogi.
Well, Yogi over there with me at Southside.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I'm watching y'all. Y'all got these kids out here on the road. Y'all giving them exposure. Y'all showing them different things.
Yes, sir.
And I looked one time and y'all had did a video because I'm checking you out now.
You know it all.
I'm trying to see y'all on the outside court trying to get the practice in. I know.
We did, yep.
I'm like, okay, all right. These guys are serious about what they're trying to do.
Absolutely.
But it's good because you're giving that exposure to the kids, and that's what they need. Right. That's what they need. And even if they don't go on to be, next level superstars or whatever, they have that foundation that y'all have instilled in them from taking them on these trips.
Right.
I remember when we took the guys from Deep Creek up to Northern Virginia one time.
Okay.
A lot of them guys had never been out of Camelot.
I believe it.
I say Camelot, but I should say never out of Chesapeake.
Right. I believe
it. We got up there to D.C. and it was in awe.
Right.
Like, okay, I used to live up here. I used to live around this corner right here. My house was right there. And, and Mike knew it because he had lived with me, so.
Right.
But they were like oh, man, we on the subway. We going to Crystal City. We going.
Big city.
Hey, man, it is what it is, man. No, Just go with the flow. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the ride. But we gave them that exposure.
Right.
We gave them access to something different. And a lot of them now are comfortable in who they are based upon just realizing that, okay, there is life outside of Chesapeake. Right. There is life outside of, my little area, Camelot, Deep Creek, Indian River, wherever, Norfolk, Tidewater Park, whatever. Right. There is life going on outside, that we should be a part of because things are happening and there's kids out there doing some of the same things that we're doing.
Right. Absolutely. So where can we find Parents Coaching Parents Network?
Right now, find Parents Coaching Parents Network on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at PCP Network. Also, Blog Talk Radio. I do a Blog Talk Radio show every Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we just open up and talk about some of the same things that we covered here this evening.
Right. And I've been up there a couple times.
Hey, definitely have you on. But we bring in folks from whoever, wherever, just to give us some updates and some insight on their experience with their child in sports. Now, we don't always focus on the recruiting aspect. We can talk about middle school sports. We can talk about recreational level sports. We can talk about professional sports. We can talk about just what's going on already in the college game. So I have a group of folks that come on and just share some insight from time to time. But you can find us on Blog Talk Radio. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Page is being built. Facebook website is actually being built. And I think that's going to be a real game changer because I'm doing some things differently with that.
That's good.
And hopefully that'll be up this year where we're going to do some online insight type information, the recruiting type stuff where you go on and you set some things up and you got your account and you go through the little course and it just gives you some things on what you should be doing recruiting wise, just going through your own little checklist.
Right. I think it's important, and what you're doing is important because you have to reach the parents. The kids are so focused on the sport aspect of it. Someone has to care about the academics, talking to the coaches piece, filling out the prospective student athlete questionnaires, which I did when I was, in high school. I don't even know if kids do that anymore, but you can go right on the school's website and fill out a questionnaire. Yep. And then that'd be the first point of contact, their first point of contact with the college coach.
I recently read this book called Selling for Coaches.
Okay.
By Dan Tudor. And he breaks some stuff down there on how to connect with the parents and the athlete. He goes into a whole sales presentation and the questions that you ask and who you want to connect with. He even talks about, hey, if the person that has the most influence in that child's life is the grandmother, then you need to connect with that grandmother. Yep. So he breaks it down, and from time to time, I post little things that I pull out of his book on our Facebook page. Okay. Just to give you some information, insight on what coaches are thinking. I think my latest question that I put up there is how do you plan to reach your goal, your athletic goal? And that's one of the questions that the coaches want to know. Right. How are you going to reach that goal? If you want to play at the Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA, junior college level, whatever, how are you going to reach that goal? Okay. And I tell parents to make sure that their child, when they answer that question, you have an answer that goes off smooth. You're not tap dancing. You're not, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, know what you want to say. Let it flow right on off. And that way they know to take you serious because you are well prepared. You are well rehearsed. You are prepared to answer their questions. Right.
Are there any plans to do the camp again this summer?
The camp is on. The camp is on. Mike's going to continue to do the camp. He said he's going to continue to do the camp as long as, the Lord's willing. And the camp is a free camp.
Right.
And, open to, kids, 6 to 16. I think we went from 6 to 12.
Okay.
Because we didn't want to get too many older kids in there. Because it's a fun camp. It's a fun camp. And it's all about just him coming back and giving back to the community. And if we can grow it to 200 kids, 300 kids, if he can make it a week long, if he got that type of time on his hands, then he's going to try to stretch it out.
Right. How important is it to keep that sense of humility in him?
Very important. Very important. Staying humble and just understanding that there's nothing that you're going to be able to accomplish in life, just being arrogant and just being selfish, just being, you're going to have to open up and understand that your real true role here is being a servant, being of service. So, being able to do that is a big part of his life.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you out of here with this one.
Okay.
You ready?
All right. I'm ready.
You ready? I don't think you sure you're ready.
I'm ready.
You or Lavar 1-on-1. Who gonna win? You or Lavar 1-on-1. Who taking that matchup?
And that's gonna be one that you're gonna get me out of here on. I'm gonna laugh that off, man. I'm gonna laugh that one off because of the simple fact that ain't something in my brain. That ain't something I can really and truly take serious. My man got on and he talked about.
He could beat Mike, everybody.
He could beat Mike and this person, that person. I can't even put that out there like that because it's not. I couldn't take that serious.
You ain't that type of parent, huh?
It ain't that serious for me. It ain't that serious.
Well, we thank you for coming on, Mr. Scott. You're always welcome to come back and.
Man, I definitely thank you. Thank you for having me, man. This is a chance to come on and just let out some of this information.
That's right.
And just be able to. Oh, I'm sliding back. just being able to share some insight with parents out there is huge for me because if it wasn't for, and I didn't say this, but I'm gonna drop this in here real quick. If it wasn't for when I connected with Coach Cheney, and I told him that I wanted to get information out to parents, and he said, "Hey, let's go ahead and do this. Let us." Go ahead and do this. Like he was going to support me and back me. And actually, he put me in touch with a guy that was out of the Philadelphia school system. That sent me a whole boatload of information. I took that information, retyped it up, put it in pamphlet form, and started disseminating it to parents as little brochures.
Nice.
Because that's what he had. And they used to do I don't know if they're still doing it. I'm going to find out if they still do it up in Philly where, how we do a college fair.
Yeah.
They would do a college recruiting fair where you have athletes come in and at the time they was giving their tapes or DVDs to college coaches. And you had a bunch of coaches inside the gym just like you would have a regular college fair. But it was all coaches from different sports, so on and so forth.
That's a great idea.
So it was awesome.
Back off that.
Yeah, that may be something we need to pull together, man. Maybe pull together.
We gotta do that.
Yeah, I think we can make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if we place a lot of focus on NAIA schools.
Got you.
Who can come out anytime.
Anytime. Yep. Because they're not restricted by the recruiting calendar.
That's right.
Man, that's a whole nother conversation.
Conversation, brother.
But yeah, I thank you for coming on. And anytime you're welcome to come back.
I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.